Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon from Belgium. I'm hoping that everybody is having a very good time here. And also, I want to do my part of this very special event that Luca organized. Many thanks, Luca, for organizing this in this special times. That's exactly what people need. So first, I'm gonna go over what we are going to cover, so that you know what the lecture is going to be about. So first, I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm gonna talk a bit about the safety of hypnosis, also about what hypnosis exactly is. One thing that I want to teach you is the stiff arm and how you can combine this with mentalism. And at the end, we will do a Q&A depending on how much time we have left, of course. So maybe it's better to, you can post comments, but I'm not able to read them all, of course, while I'm presenting. So, but at the end, we will do a Q&A, and it's better to post your questions at that time. So then we can, it's much easier for me to answer them. If there are any questions after this event or after this lecture, please send them to me. I see a lot of people requesting friendship with me on Facebook, but I'm really sorry I reached my 5,000 friends. So you can still follow me or go to my other page. It's Rob De Groof, hypnotist, mentalist, and there you can just follow me. So, first, a bit about myself. For the people who don't know me, I see a lot of my friends online watching this lecture. So I have a background in entertainment. I used to work as a clown, as a juggler. I had a company in delivering artists to all different events in the Netherlands and in Belgium. I'm based in Belgium. At the moment, I'm the owner of the Hypnosis Center Belgium. We do hypnotherapy here. At the moment, we are doing nothing because of the lockdown. We do a few online sessions, but it's not that easy to introduce online session to our clients because in Belgium, we have a small country and people are not used to do lots of things online. So that's yeah, a bit of a thing that we try to change. I'm also the owner of the European Hypnosis Academy. I'm a hypnosis trainer, and actually, that is what I'm doing most these days. I have 7 therapists working for me here in Belgium to do the hypnotherapy side of the business, and most of the time, I'm busy with managing the business and doing the trainings. I see some clients, but most of the time, I do trainings. I travel the world teaching hypnosis and speaking at different conventions, sometimes also as a keynote speaker. I wrote a book, Mentalism for Hypnotherapists, and I created also some tricks, especially for hypnotists. So not tricks for magicians, not tricks for mentalists. Very easy to do tricks for hypnotists because I think mentalism is a very good gateway for hypnotherapists to introduce hypnosis to at a party or to put the attention on hypnosis so they can promote their business. So first of all, I can't teach you, of course, a hypnosis lecture during this. Whoa, this is going a bit too fast. That's because I changed the screen. So what we are going to do today is I'm going to introduce hypnosis and how you can use it as a mentalist as well. But of course, first you need to know some safety rules. It's not the meaning of this lecture is not that you will become a hypnotist after this lecture, because you can't learn hypnosis on such a short amount of time, of course. But at the end, I will inform you how you can learn hypnosis. So whenever you're introducing or combining hypnosis with mentalism, and even if you do what I'm going to teach you today, you have to bear in mind that there are some safety rules that are really important. So the first thing, always keep your eyes on your subject because you never know what's going to happen. And I will show you a video in a few minutes so that you see that sometimes things can go wrong with hypnosis. And it's most of the time because of the fact that you don't know what's going on. Just checking because I'm getting some messages here. Nothing about it. So I think everything is going okay. So so always keep your eyes on your subject. And if you do a real induction, when you're trained as a hypnotist, of course, don't go and do inductions without being well trained as a hypnotist. You will see in the video why. But even if you do a fake induction and you use the word sleep, be prepared to catch your volunteer. And I'm going to show you the video now so you can see what things can go wrong when you just say sleep to somebody. And I will explain later why that is, that sometimes it can go wrong.
Stare, 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 sleep. Oh! You can hear when I touch your head, wake up completely. You can hear 1, 2, 3, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. What's up? You alright? Does it hurt? Fuck, you alright?
Yeah.
You alright? Oh my god, you alright?
Yeah, what happened?
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. You're all right. Sleep, 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 sleep. Alright, good, 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 good.
Okay, so what is going wrong here and every time I go to this, it starts going through all my slides, and that's not... Okay, let's go back. So we were here at safety. So the video is really important to learn that you can't just say sleep to people just for a joke, because there are some people, and we call in the hypnosis business we call them floppers, and those people are going into hypnosis real quick. And you can see here it's a teenage girl, and a lot of teenage girls are that quick to go into hypnosis. So I had it once in a bar after a training, and some guys were dancing, and all of a sudden one of the guys who were dancing just fell down on the floor, and we thought he was really drunk. He had a lot of beers, to be honest. And I ran up to that guy, and there was a girl, and she said, yeah, we were dancing, and the only thing I did, I just, for a joke, I look in his eyes and I say, sleep. And this guy is a really, really good hypnotic subject, and he just fell down on the floor. But what you can see in this video is just some teenagers playing around, fooling around with something that they probably learned from a YouTube video, and things are going really wrong. And you see that this guy is not a real hypnotist, because at the end he's giving suggestions like, does it hurt? And then he says, wake up, sleep, sleep, wake up. So he was in panic, and he was totally out of control. He was totally not doing what he supposed to do. So, so the first thing, whenever you do an induction, when you're trained as a hypnotist, or when you just want to say the word sleep, be sure that you're prepared to catch your volunteer, because there's always a chance that they will react simply on the word sleep and just fall down. Another thing that you can do, an advice that I give, whenever you do something like this, be sure that you have enough space, because when you see the video, she is really, her body is collapsing, and that's what's happening. She doesn't have any natural reflex anymore. So most of the time when she falls like this, and here the only problem was the heating, of course, that was against the wall. When that was not there, she just would have fallen down as if she lost conscious. So probably she wouldn't hurt herself. But this is what's happening when you don't have enough space. So whenever you want to do something with real hypnosis, or even with just pretending that you're going to hypnotize somebody, because I see a lot of performers doing that, and they say the word sleep, or they just do something with a watch and say the word sleep just to to build up their performance. But be advised that some people might react on it. The chance is really slow, really small that it is going to happen, but be prepared to catch your volunteer. And that's why the next thing is there. Choose them wisely. If you yourself are like only 1 meter 70 high, or you're not that the strongest person, don't select somebody who is like 2 meters high and 150 or 200 kilograms in weight, because you're not going to be able to catch that person. Also, when you're female and you're a small female, don't do this with somebody, especially not standing. And that's what I'm talking about, because I know you're all performers. So most of the time when you do something, it's on a stage, it's on the street, it's standing. There's little chance that you will do this seating. So, but there is always a chance that they will fall. So choose them wisely. Don't go for that really big guy that you're not able to catch. Whenever you do something with hypnosis, and especially when you use the fast and the quick inductions that I'm using, and also the thing that I'm going to teach you in a moment, ask some safety questions, because you don't want to do this with somebody who hurt his arm, who had a whiplash or is still recovering from a whiplash. So I always ask the question, is everything all right with your hands, with your arms, with your back, and with your neck? So whenever you get a response as if I have a hernia in my neck, I have back problems, my shoulder was hurt during a game last week, don't use that person. Don't use somebody who has an injury or still has physical problems on the upper part of the body. So that's really important. And whenever you're going to use real hypnosis, or even when you're going to pretend that you hypnotize somebody, always remove their glasses. And there is the best way to have somebody remove their glasses, because it's not a good idea that you will remove their glasses, or that you are going to say, okay, give the glasses to me and I will put them somewhere safe. Because if you're really going to hypnotize somebody, or even if you are going to do something with a volunteer, you don't want them to think about where that you put your glasses. I used to wear glasses, and now my eyes are lasered, but in the period that I was wearing glasses, for me that was something really important, because the moment when my glasses were broke, or when I lost my glasses, I couldn't see anymore. So you don't want your volunteer to think all the time of, are my glasses safe? Or maybe it's when it's at a party, maybe somebody is gonna sit on them, and they will be broke. So the best way to have somebody remove their glasses is just say, okay, I want you to take off your glasses and give them to somebody who's with you, so that your glasses are safe. So they are out of the way, the glasses there, and your volunteer is not thinking about their glasses anymore. So this is really important, especially when you do something with, because people might, you will see in the video, they might put their head like this, and when they have glasses, they might fall off when they are not really tight on their head, or they might start getting lower on the noise, and that will take away the concentration of the focus of your client, or your subject, and that's not what you want. You want them to focus, to concentrate really good. So that's really important. I'm just gonna go through what I see here. There will be a replay of this, so don't worry. Also, when it's for any reason not recorded well on Facebook, I'm recording it here locally as well, so there will be a replay available. Okay, so let's go to what is hypnosis. The thing is, of course, I can't give the entire explanation of what hypnosis is. Most of you will, of course, know what hypnosis is, or they have ever seen a hypnotist performing. The actual explanation of hypnosis is the bypass of the critical faculty of the conscious mind and the establishment of acceptable selective thinking. So that's a whole of a lot explanation, but let me just explain what is happening. We have a subconscious mind and we have a conscious mind. And of course, our conscious mind is the one that we are working with, the one that you are listening now, the one that is concentrating on whatever I'm saying here. I hope that it's concentrated on whatever I'm saying here. So, but we also have an unconscious mind or a subconscious mind, and it's that subconscious mind actually that we are working with. And I'm not going to talk about how this all is going to work in like therapy, but for entertainment, it's quite simple. We want our subjects to do something that they probably not going to do when they're just conscious, when they're not hypnotized. Of course, it's really important that you keep at all times the respect for your client, and that's something that's, especially when you do like street hypnosis, it's really important that you don't make fools of your volunteers, because on street hypnosis you need another volunteer in like maybe 15 minutes, and most of the time you will get your volunteer out of the audience. And when the audience see that you are making a joke or that you're not respectful with your volunteer, nobody is going to be the next volunteer. So it's really important that you keep the ethics high, that you don't make a fool of your volunteer, and that you do like funny stuff, of course, that they do crazy stuff, but there is always respect for the volunteer. So what is actually happening? The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between truth or imagination. So when you just have people imagine, or you give the suggestion that something is different than it actually is, the subconscious mind will follow, and your volunteer is going to maybe dance or pretend as if he's a photo model or a football player. But you can go really far, of course. And sometimes in a lot of hypnosis shows that I see, the one thing that I miss is people, most of the hypnotists, they keep it safe and they do more like the pretend stuff and dance stuff. But there's so many other things that you can do, like amnesia. It's even not that difficult to have somebody forgot his name, to change his name, to have them forgot the number 4. But also there are things called hallucinations, and that is of course what is really, really funny. One of the things that I do a lot is kind of a meet and greet. So I ask the audience if there's somebody like an idol for my subject, and it might be a singer, a movie star, and or a football player. That's something that you have a lot with teenagers. And then let's say it's like Lionel Messi, and then I say, okay, the moment you open your eyes, you see Lionel Messi in front of you, and he starts talking with Lionel Messi. It's of course somebody that I picked out of the audience, but in their mind, it's Lionel Messi, because of the fact that the critical faculty is bypassed, and that is what's going, what's happening, what's making that thing working. And most of the people are able to reach that state when you prepare them well, and that's really important. And one of the things that I teach my students all the time is to be at ease. Don't rush to the most wonderful skit like hallucinations or something. No, take it easy. Let your subject jump some hoops that he or she is ready to go to the next phenomena. And that's a really important thing. So hypnosis is the bypass of the critical faculty of the conscious mind and the establishment of acceptable selective thinking. So there is your conscious mind, or that critical faculty, actually the critical faculty is a part of the conscious mind, is still there. That's one of the reasons that people are not going to do something against their will, against their religion, against their education, against their moral standards. So that's really important. People ask me sometimes, are you not going to do like things that you never wanted to do? No, because there's always that critical faculty that's watching it. It's of course it's going really to the side, so that's why those crazy suggestions sometimes will be bypassed and go to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind will react on it. But that part of that critical faculty is still there to keep you safe from those things. And one of the examples that I always give to explain it better is when you're drunk, you will do stuff that you maybe wouldn't do when you're sober, and stuff that you will regret the day after. When you're hypnotized, you're not going to do things that you don't want, that you're going to regret later. And especially when the ethics of the hypnotist are really good, he's not going to lead you there. And that's your conscious mind is always that little guardian there to be sure that you don't do things that you don't want to do. So what I want to teach you today is something that's called the stiff arm. And the stiff arm is a hypnotic phenomenon. Sometimes hypnotists, also hypnotherapists, are using it as a convincer. So somebody is hypnotized, and then they, during that period when it's like in therapy, and you want to be sure, or you want your subject or your client in that case to be sure that is hypnotized, some people will use convincers. And a stiff arm is one of those things that you can use as a convincer. But you can do a stiff arm also before that the hypnosis is induced. So before that there is any trance. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. This stiff arm can also be used as an induction. What is an induction for those who are new to this? An induction is the way how a hypnotist hypnotize somebody to that hypnotic trance. So we have all different kind of inductions. There are very long inductions. I never use those kind of inductions, even not in my therapy room, because I actually don't like them. And most of those inductions are more like relaxation and not hypnosis. For me, it's really important that an induction is powerful and is fast. It's a quick induction. And of course, when you master those quick inductions, then your subject or your client will go in a real profound state of hypnosis, and then you can start your work, whatever it is. And this stiff arm is something that it's really perfect to combine with mentalism. First, because I don't have somebody here to do a demonstration with, but I have this stiff arm induction in my online training, and I'm just going to show you now. Here it's done as an induction, but of course we are going to discuss the first part of it, not the induction part of it. So first, take a look at this video. Okay, I want you to stretch this arm, make a fist, and just pick a spot and keep focusing on that spot. Now I want you to imagine that your arm is made from something that you can't bend it anymore. It can be metal, it can be wood. Just focus on your elbow and imagine that it's locked, that it's totally locked. And in a moment I'm going to try to bend your arm, and your imagination is going to make that I can't bend it. That's right. Okay, now make that imagination even stronger. So in a moment that you're going to try to bend it, when you're totally convinced that you can't bend it anymore, that you used all your imagination, that you can't bend it anymore, I want you to give it a good try so you can see that you can't bend it anymore. The moment you're sure that you used all your imagination, just try to bend it. Okay, that's right. Close your eyes, sleep. Deeper and deeper, all the way down, deep, deep, deeper, that's right. Okay, so what you saw here was the induction called the stiff arm induction. But what I want you to use, or what I want you to learn, or to get familiar with, is only the first part, not the part where you say sleep, because when you're not trained as a hypnotist, it's not good to use inductions as you saw in the video. So let me break it up in parts. So the first thing, you want somebody to stretch his arm and make a fist with that arm and focus on a point on the wrist. You can do these things without the focusing on the wrist. I do it sometimes without the focus, but especially when you're new to this, it will help your subject to create this stiff arm. So let them focus on a point on their wrist. You can point yourself, you can let them choose a point on the wrist. That's up to you. And the first thing is, and this is the big difference with using a stiff arm before there is hypnosis or when using it as a convincer. When I use a stiff arm as a convincer, I skip the part of the fact that I'm going to bend the arm. But now this will help in creating that catalepsy in that arm, because that's what it is, of course. So the first thing is, you're going to ask your subject to use his imagination or her imagination to make that arm stiff and rigid. So a few of the things that you can say is just imagine that it's made of something that can't bend, like wood or metal. It's really important that you give all these things with congruency. When you don't believe it yourself, the subconscious mind of that person is not going to pick it up. So it's really important that maybe you just can imagine yourself that that arm is out of steel or out of wood, or that elbow is locked. That's another suggestion that you can give. The elbow is locked. And as you could see in the video, I touched the arm. You don't have to do it, especially maybe in this times. It's not that good to touch people, but anyway, we can't perform, so you're not going to use it right away, I guess. But touching the arm will help also to reach that catalepsy. So the first thing is make it stiff and rigid. So he's going to use his imagination, but he's going to do it, of course, a bit on a conscious level as well, because the first goal is that he has to make it as stiff, as rigid, as strong, so that you can't bend it anymore. And the moment you gave enough suggestions and you see that he is really making his arm stiff and rigid, you are going to try to bend it. Now, of course, it's not, the goal here is not that you are going to prove to him how strong you are. Of course, you're going to give it a good try, but you're not going to overdo it. You're not going to hurt his arm. You just give it a good try so you can feel that his arm is stiff and rigid. Okay? So then, the first thing is, after this, you have to increase the level of imagination. So give him even more suggestions. Say things like, okay, now I want you to use your imaginations even more. Just imagine that this arm is getting so rigid, so stiff. Just imagine that elbow is locked, so you can't bend it anymore. Make it stiff, make it rigid, so you can't bend it anymore. And the moment you're convinced that you used all your imagination, I want you to give it a good try. And here the wording is really important, because first you're going to put the responsibility at his part. So you're going to say the moment, only the moment you're ready and you're convinced that you can't bend your arm anymore, that you used all your imaginations. So you're actually giving the responsibility to him. So if he's just there to prove you that this is not going to work, then he's actually not following the instructions. Yeah? So the moment he's ready, he used all his imagination, then he can try. And here the word try is really important, because you're not going to say, then you can bend your arm, but it's not going to work. No, you say, then you can try to bend your arm, because that word try will give the suggestion that it's not going to work, that there is a possibility of failure. If you say, in a moment, I want you to bend your arm, but it's not going to work, of course, that's also a suggestion, but then the suggestion is coming after the fact that you say, I want you to bend your arm. So it's really important that the wording here is correct. And most of the time when this thing is not working, because you will see in 90%, 95% of the time, this will work. When it doesn't work, maybe there's something wrong with your wording. Maybe there's something wrong with the suggestions that you are giving. So a very good tip that I can give you is when you're practicing this, record yourself. When you're performing, just put your smartphone in your pocket and record the sound. And maybe when it doesn't work, later you just can listen to whatever you were saying, and most of the time you will find something in the words that you were using. You will find something in the suggestions they were using. Maybe you just said something too much. Maybe you just gave the suggestion that it is going to work because you said something wrong and you didn't or you're not congruent enough. So congruency is really important. You really have to stress the words like your arm is strong, you can't bend it anymore. When you say something like, and maybe you can't bend it anymore, and your arm is, so there is no, it's not vivid. So you really have to be congruent, and that is something that it's going to give you the best results. So the moment he tests, then you can go to whatever you want to do, or how do you want to implement it in your mentalism. Of course, when you're trained as a hypnotist, you can just push the arm down and say sleep and go on with whatever you're doing. But again, if you're a hypnotist and you know how to hypnotize people and you want to use this induction, because maybe a lot of people are still using the long inductions, be sure that you're ready to catch your client. Because of the fact that you're pushing the arm down, there is already a downwards motion, so your client or your subject might fall. So be prepared. And when he is standing on his legs, and I can give you a advice when you not when you're a hypnotist and you're not using this induction, try it first or practice it first when your volunteer, your subject, the person you're practicing with is seating. So then you get used to the wording, then you get used to whatever is going on. And when that's like second nature, then go and have your subject standing. So then you're prepared and you have more focus on your client and not on whatever you are going to say. So how can you implement this in your mentalism? Of course, you can use this for a witch hand routine. Whatever device or whatever method you are using, this is something that you can really combine with a witch hand. Yeah? I'm not going to explain how you can do a routine, because of course everybody has his own persona, everybody has his own performance, his own routines. So I'm just going to give you some suggestions in what kind of routines you can use it. But for a witch hand, of course, it's a really good thing that you can put to that witch hand routine. Of course, you can also use it with billet work. Let's say you are doing a peek with a billet, and then you ask them to hold that billet in that fist. And then you can give suggestions like, I want you to, because most of the time we ask, as mentalists, we ask people to write the name, when we're working with names, most of the time we ask, write down the name of somebody that you love, somebody that you see a lot, somebody that's close to you, so that they have a strong relationship with. Yeah? When you do this with a famous person, that is not going to work as strong as with somebody who's close to that person. So, and then you can say, now I want you to make this arm as strong as your connection is with that loved one. As strong as your connection is with the name of the person you wrote down on that billet, and so on. You can use your imagination, and then you can give suggestion to those more suggestions to the arm getting rigid and getting stiff. Of course, you can use this with spoon and coin bending, and especially with coin bending, you can bend a coin and just put it in a person's hand and then let them make a fist, and then do the stiff arm routine. And at the end, when the arm is really, when they can't bend their arm anymore, and then you can just go to the revelation of your bent coin in their arm. So you can say something as all the energy that you were using to bend, to not make to make that arm rigid, to make that arm stiff, is transferred to that coin, and that's why that coin is bent. So all different things that you can use this together with. So take a look at your routines and see if you can implement this stiff arm to one of your routines. But of course, first practice it a lot, and this is something that you can practice with family members, of course, especially nowadays we have to practice with family members, and it's a good time to do a lot of practice. Be sure that everything is natural, that you don't have to think about the wording anymore. When I do this in Dutch language, I don't think, I just do it. When I do it in English, of course, sometimes I have to think a bit more, but when I do it in my mother language, what is Dutch or Flemish, then I don't think anymore, because it's in my mind, because I did it so many times. And that's what you want with routines like this. When you have to think, you're not going to be congruent, and their mind, their subconscious mind, is not going to be convinced, and maybe they still can bend their arm. So be sure that you're congruent, that you believe it yourself, see it yourself, whatever you're describing, see it yourself. That will make you much more congruent, and it will give a better result. So I hope this will help you, and maybe some people of you are interested in learning hypnosis, because I already get some messages the moment we announced that I was going to talk about hypnosis here for Mentalists. I have a training that's called Out of the Blue Hypnosis. And this training, in this training, I can teach you every single thing that you need to know to use hypnosis as an entertainer. You're not going to be able to do hypnotherapy, of course, because that's something totally different. But the things that you will learn in this training is how to hypnotize anyone, anywhere, under any circumstances. And as a performer, that is really important, because a lot of times I was at events and we were out in bars, and there were some people interested in hypnosis. And then I saw really good hypnotists, like being afraid, most of the time it were hypnotherapists, being afraid of performing a hypnosis performance over there, because they all had an excuse. It was too loud, there were too many people, they didn't have a good chair. You don't need those things. When you are able to do out of the blue hypnosis, also impromptu hypnosis, then you're ready to hypnotize anywhere, everywhere, under all circumstances. And as a performer, of course, that is really important, because when you're going to combine mentalism and hypnosis, you can't ask that everything is, or everybody is silent in your neighborhood. You can, maybe you're working at the street and there's a marching band passing by. You can't ask them to be quiet because you're doing hypnosis, and you don't need silence to hypnotize people. But you need the skills. You need the skills so that you don't need silence. You need the skills to do this safe. You need the skills to be sure that it's going to work, and that you know how to build up your performance. And that's really important. So those are the things that I'm teaching. I have an online training planned, but I also do mentoring. So if you already are trained as a hypnotist, but you want advice, then you can also contact me and I can give you some private mentoring. So in this training, there will be, you will learn all the basics, from the very basic skills to the superpower skills. You will learn instant induction, fast deepeners. Of course, we're gonna spend quite some time talking about safety and ethics, really important. And this is meant for entertainers who wants to do street or stage hypnosis, or magicians or mentalists who wants to add hypnosis to their act. and how to entertain using your hypnotic powers. That's what I'm teaching in that training. So especially for you guys, I wanted to make you an offer because I know, especially as entertainers, we are not earning that much money anymore. I'm going to do an online training on Zoom the 10th of April at 10 a.m. That's Central European time, so the same time as that we are using in this schedule for this event. Normally the price for this training is 399 euros, but for you guys I do the special offer of 247. And I will post a post later in this Facebook group, so you can find the training for that special price. But I also want you to show you something else, and this is more for people who are already trained as a hypnotist, or they maybe had a basic training in hypnosis, but they want to learn more about fast and powerful inductions. And I have a little trailer of this, and so you can see what different kind of inductions are in that online training. It's 22 different inductions, and of course I will talk about the ethics, the safety, and all those things. So
sleep, 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 loose, sleep, 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 sleep.
okay, so also this link for this training with the coupon code to get the 30 euros off the normal price will be posted in the group. I already programmed the post, so at around 5 o'clock it will be available. So let's see, I reserved like 10 minutes, it's only like 8 minutes anymore for questions. Maybe now is the time to post your questions in the comments, because I'm just going to see if there are some questions that that are already there. No. Somebody is referring to my book, Hypnosis for Mentalists. No, my book is actually about mentalism for hypnotherapists. So the thing that what I wrote about in my book, and there were also some contributions from like Luca Volpe, and I see Thomas and Rainer are also watching this, and also those two friends of mine contributed a trick or a routine to my book. So actually my book is about how you can use mentalism as a hypnotherapist to promote your business. Because when you're as a hypnotherapist and you're at a party and you want to do some hypnosis and you just say, hey, I'm a hypnotist, can I hypnotize somebody? Then I'm gonna go back to this screen so you can see me. Then a lot of people, especially here in Belgium, they will just run the 100 meter in a new world record, because people are not always ready to be hypnotized all of a sudden. So that's why I created some really easy to perform mentalism tricks. So all with a hypnotic subject, so that you can do something first, because then you're creating rapport, then you do something with the audience, and then they already like you, and then of course you can go to like a stiff arm or whatever, or say, hey, is there somebody who is ready to go a bit further and to be hypnotized and to have some fun. So that's what I'm explaining in that book. The book is not meant for mentalists, because it's all basic mentalism routines, and of course the contributions of all different mentalists. So let me see if there are any questions. Do you test the deep of the induction? Of course, of course. That's something I do the moment I start, and that's something I teach also in the training. Don't go too fast. So test your work and then go to the next level. Don't start with, hey, you have forgotten your name right after your induction. With some people that might work, because there are like 25 to 30% of the people who are really good hypnotic subjects. And with those type of people, most of the time you just can do an induction and start doing the fun stuff. But with most of the people, you need to prepare them a bit. You need to warm them up a bit to do those more challenging skits like amnesia, like hallucinations. A question: using the shake hand induction before it increases the. Of course, there's somebody asking a question about the handshake interrupt induction. Of course, you can use it, you can combine it. The thing is, when you first do an induction and then do the stiff arm, then it's more like a convincer. But then I skip the part of the test that I'm going to try to bend this arm. Because the moment your client or your subject is hypnotized, it's even much easier to get that catalepsy in that arm. So, yeah, I can talk about app reactions, but that's maybe not the scope of this. Of course, that's why I tell people, don't go out and hypnotize people without a proper training. Because there are things like app reactions, there are things like some people who are not willing to come out of hypnosis. And you, as an entertainer as well, you have to be able to deal with stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. If you want to use hypnosis as an entertainer, find yourself maybe in your country somebody who does a training, or sign up for an online training. It can be for mine, but there are also other people doing really good trainings. And the reason that I created this online training is because of the fact that we are going to stay at home for quite a while. So now it's good time to do online training. So that's why I have that offer out. Okay, let's see, what would be a good book to start? Somebody is asking here, what would be a good book to start off with hypnosis? I actually, yeah, Luca, I see that you sent me the 5-minute sign. Really good. That's only like 3 minutes anymore. So, books about hypnosis. There are some good books about hypnosis, but especially for entertainment, the first thing that you really should learn is how to hypnotize somebody on a safe way and all those different things. And for me personally, I don't think you can learn hypnosis in a book, because you have to see how it's done, you have to do the practice. And also when we do the online training, because of the fact that we are doing it on Zoom, there will be time to practice, because I can put you in separate rooms and then you can practice. We are doing online sessions all the time now. So you can do hypnosis on a distance, just using the technology. So of course you can't, in that way of practicing, you can't do anything where you need to touch. And some inductions are designed that way, but then we will show you that on video. There are good books. One good book that I can advise you from a very good friend of mine is Sean Michael Andrews, his book Street Hypnosis. For me, I already told Sean, it's much more than only about street hypnosis. It's like a Bible of hypnosis. There are so many good tips and tricks in that book. So and you can buy it as a digital book or as a physical copy. That's some book especially for entertainers, a very good book that I can advise you. So I think we have to end this lecture. So if you want to have more information about whatever we are doing or about the trainings, just send me a message. When you have questions about whatever I said here, just send me a message. And also something that's really important for whoever is interested in our online trainings, for the European Hypnosis Academy, a training never ends the moment the training ends. We are always there for you. We're always there to answer questions. So guys, I really hope you had something about this, especially for the ones who don't know anything about hypnosis yet before they started this lecture. When you have questions, I will see them, and enjoy the rest of the lectures today and tomorrow, because there are some great lectures coming on. See you, and thank you very much. Bye.